Android and iPhone users welcome. BlackBerry and Windows Phone users, we will accept you. The podcast going beyond the headlines. This is the GooplyCast. Now the host, Matthew Carter.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the GooplyCast. If you're listening to us as a podcast, please come hang out with us live. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube on Monday nights just after 8 p.m. PST. If you prefer an audio-only version, you can find us after the show or after our live show on your favorite Android or iOS podcasting apps, including iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Matt Carter. With me today is Matt Evans. Hey, Matt.
Hello.
As well as Roy Schlapinski. Hey, Roy.
Hi.
And Tim Van Claveren. Hey, Tim.
Hello.
So, on tonight's episode, what are we talking about? We're discussing Twitter and their upcoming super followers and communities features, as well as just subscription service models in general. Twitter, recently announced that they are creating something called super followers. What do you guys know about that, super followers?
So it's kind of like a paid subscription for separate content from your Twitter account. So you'll be able to super tweet just to select followers who support you and support your creativity and stuff like that. So I thought this was a great idea for Twitter because Twitter has not had like a strong new feature list in a long time. I don't know when the last time we had. I mean, we've had redesigns of like Twitter photos and a little bit of the streaming app and stuff like that, but they haven't really introduced much until they introduced the stories, which are called fleets, fleets, and people just don't like fleets, and so I think this is just another way for them to continue growing their feature list, and I think it's a great thing for content creators. We already have it out there in the world. It's called Patreon, and YouTube has similar things, and Twitch has similar things, where you can donate, and stuff like that. Twitter's just doing the same thing that all the other services are doing and that people are paying for. So I don't see the difference of it. It was interesting, though. I was following along on some of the things because once they announced this that night, they were talking about it on Twitter a lot, and people were comparing it to OnlyFans.
It is kind of like that too. I mean, it
could be the same thing too.
Yeah, it's kind of similar in that you have some pinnacle person. And I think in the way that Twitter is marketing this idea, I'd like to call them organizers because they're like organizing a community around themselves. So you have this like organizer who has content that they think people will pay for. And so you make that like private content that only people who subscribe to you, who are your super followers, have access to. So like what kinds of content would that be? Like, in at least Twitter's space.
Twitter has mentioned like that you could do mailing lists, you could do exclusive deals. Like I could see the restaurant industry picking up on this quite a bit. Like if certain restaurants wanted to try and offer, like come in and mention this tweet or use this code online when you do your online ordering and get 25% off or whatnot. They also recently purchased a mailing list service that I haven't really checked out. But it's something that they obviously can integrate into that as well. And then also one of the other new features that they announced was communities, which is a lot like Facebook groups. And Facebook groups is really popular on Facebook. And so you could create a special group, that you could exclusively have access to. And Discord is a lot of times the same thing too. Like, if you a lot of Twitch followers and Patreon communities have exclusive Discord channels and stuff like that. This is this is similar to a Discord channel where you can just have exclusive content for people that are in your community as well. And I think you'll be able to make communities public too. So you could have a public version and you could have a private version, where the content creator interacts more with communities in the paid version, so that'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. So, also podcasts, like you could, if you do a podcast, you could get the podcast like 3 days earlier, or 2 days earlier or whatnot. You can give exclusive content to, certain people, which again, Patreon already does. And a lot of people subscribe to Patreon and pay a lot more than $4.99. So I know actually a couple people who pay like, $7 a month or $10 a month, for some of their content that they do on Patreon. So.
Do we know what the cut is between Twitter and the creator? Is there a
I don't think so. They didn't announce it. Not that I could find at least. So
okay.
The only price
I'm
point
sure
that I
they'll
saw
take
for subscriptions was like $4.99 on the
But that was just an example.
Exactly.
And I'm sure that they'll have different price points, and of course Twitter's going to take a cut in it because this is a new service for them and a new revenue stream. But I mean, this is good for investors too, which is where it was announced at. It was announced for the investors that support it. So I think it's a great thing. Roy and I kind of talked about it on Twitter, and he wasn't a big fan of it, but I could see where it could be really helpful to content creators.
So my whole take on the announcement is, number one, communities I think is a great idea. Even if there was a paid community to be a part of, I can see a benefit of that. Free communities, obviously, any time that you can get people together online and hopefully have meaningful discussion about whatever the topic is a good idea. My problem with Twitter introducing super followers, I guess my problem isn't with Twitter itself doing it. My problem is the burden of worth that the creators will have to put forward. If I'm paying $5 a month, obviously, it's got to be something worth $5 a month. The thing that I've kind of tossed around in my head is, okay, if I have somebody that I subscribe to on Twitch, I do a monthly subscription to them, and then all of a sudden they have super followers on Twitter. So, I really like this content creator, so now I'm going to pay another $5 for Twitch. Maybe they have merch, so there's merch that you can buy. It's just it's like the streaming service. How many streaming services you have to now subscribe to in order to have the package that you want. And once again, that's not by any means Twitter's fault whatsoever. It comes down to the wall that the content creators themselves are going to put up that will wall off their creators based upon what subscriptions they have to what services that you can subscribe to. Like, once again, my problem isn't with Twitter. My problem is what I think that this could do for subscribing to content creators and the balance that the content creators, I'm interested to see the balance the content creators will come up with to make sure that they are as open as they can be to their followers and their subscribers while still monetizing enough to make it worth their while. Realistically, we can talk about what this will look like for Twitter, but I think until we really start to see it in practice, we won't see whether or not this is something of actual value, or if this is just, this is going to be stupid to say, if this is just a way for Twitter to make money. Obviously, this is just a way for Twitter to make money, but whether or not it's truly going to be beneficial to the progression of the Twitter community as a whole, if that makes sense.
So here's the way I look at it. I don't think this is a way for Twitter to make money. It's already being done out there on Patreon. It's already being done out there on other things. When you talk about, the timeline for Twitter, people to do it, it doesn't take any extra time in some cases because they've already produced the content for Patreon. There's nothing to say that they can't just publish that to the people of Twitter as well, and create that revenue stream coming in. a lot of people create YouTube videos exclusively for Patreon, and give them early access to their videos before they go live on YouTube. And it doesn't take them much to put the link in there and do a super tweet out to their super followers, and so I don't.
Patreon. Like
I think it's a direct competitor for Patreon, but there's nothing
there's
to
going
say.
To be a balancing act, though.
Yeah, but there's nothing to say. Oh, well, I'd rather subscribe on. I don't have Twitter, so I'll do Patreon because I get Patreon more because I'm not a Twitter person. Twitter people, like, some people are diehard Twitter fans even now after all these years.
You're saying I have subscribers over here on Patreon. I have subscribers over here on Twitter, and I'm going to subscribe out my exclusive video link on Twitter, and I'm going to give it to my Patreon subscribers as well. But if you're a content creator, you're going to do everything you can to make sure that people are subbing to you on Patreon and on Twitter, because you're going to want to monopolize as much as you can.
Exactly, and this is another way. It's another way to help content creators make money for reaching different people in different areas.
Which is fantastic. Twitter from a consumer point of view, now I have to subscribe to this person on Patreon and on Twitter.
No. So, Roy, it sounds like you're thinking that it's possible for a creator to say, I have a Patreon, I'm going to put exclusive content on a Patreon, and to provide unique value to my Twitter subscribers, I'm going to put also more unique content on Twitter. And then I'll have two different, I guess, streams of content going, that if you as a person who values this creator want to support them and have access to that content, you'll have to subscribe and pay for two separate streaming services, essentially.
Correct. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if you have a content creator that is worthwhile supporting, by all means support it. But if you have somebody that is a little bit more casual on it, the content creator has just walled off more content from possible fans, making them a little bit harder to reach, in which case makes it a little bit harder to build their fan base, if that makes sense.
So Roy, I don't think so here's what I'm saying. So you have a Patreon, okay? You have an elite Patreon group where you pay $10 a month, okay? Mm-hmm. And you get exclusive access to content there. You have a Plus membership, which is the middle group, and you get it's $5 a month, let's say. And then you have like a $2.99 group, which is the basic one. You can have that on Twitter. You can have that on Patreon, and then you got two sources of revenue. It's not separate. It's the same.
No, I get that. But if I'm a content creator, I'm producing exclusive content for both Patreon and Twitter. Something that's just for Twitter and something that's just for Patreon.
I don't think creators are going to do that. I think creators are going to monetize this as a way to attract.
You're going to treat them identically.
Treat them identical. And these people are on Twitter, might get access to the community group, or something like that. The people on Patreon might get the Discord channel. There's possibilities on a little bit of that, but like overall, I don't feel like it's gonna. You'll get the same content, and I think content creators are going to do that because, again, there's not a lot of money going around for that.
I think it's mostly Twitter trying to just make this as an option available for content creators, and content creators obviously can choose where they're going to host exclusive content for for people who are willing to pay for it, and Twitter just wants to make it available. If there's anyone that's like, I don't want to do a Patreon because that means I have to make a whole nother account. While on Twitter, you can just use whatever account. Most content creators, not everyone, but most of them are on Twitter. So it's much easier and more appealing to maybe smaller creators to just create one really quickly on Twitter. But I think it's mostly just Twitter just making it an option, because they know there's going to be at least 5 people that sign up for this, and then they're going to get a enough. They're going to get some money from that. But they're not going. No, not everyone's going to sign up for this. I think they know that, and there's going to be an amount of people that do, but then there's going to be some that don't.
And once again, I'm not anti this super follower subscription thing that Twitter's doing. I'm not against it by any means. Don't try to think that I'm against it. I think this is this horrible thing. What I'm saying is there are going to be content creators that try to take advantage of multiple subscription services to try to get as much money as they can out of everybody. I'm not saying that everybody's going to do it by any means, Matt, but there are definitely going to be those that do. And like I said, the burden is all going to be on the content creator itself to make this worthwhile, and I'll be interested to see how the balancing act is going to play out in the long run. That's all I'm saying.
Which I think is interesting because Twitter is going to be a new type of platform for content creators to add either their unique content from like Patreon or Discord or something, and they're just going to throw it on Twitter, see if it works. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And then you're going to have some of the people who are like great at Patreon and really good at building that out into a value system for themselves and their customers. Maybe go to Twitter and either have no idea what to do, or you're going to have some people who are like, oh yeah, I get how Twitter works, and I'll just exclusively use Twitter instead of maybe Patreon. Or you're just going to have a mix of like what Roy, you're saying, where there might be some exclusive stuff over here, there might be some exclusive stuff over there, and it might be confusing to the end user trying to get content that matters to them, trying to figure out where to go and how much to pay. But I think that all hinges on whether or not the Twitter system winds up being any good or even as comprehensive as something like Patreon, or as good of a community as something like Discord, because we don't know yet. We don't know how people use it.
Yeah, and I was going to say we haven't seen what Twitter communities is going to look like. So we don't know whether it's going to be as nice as Discord or as nice as Facebook groups.
It could be garbage.
It could be garbage, and it may fail in the long run. But it's I disagree with the fact that I don't think. You're right. There may be some people who take advantage of the moderation system, but I don't think large creators. I don't think, if Casey Neistat created a group, he's a big time YouTuber. If he created a group, I don't think he's gonna. If he had a Patreon group, I feel like he would do the same thing, and make it available on Twitter and stuff like that. I don't see that happening. Or MKBHD. Yes, thank you. I always mess that up. But I don't think if he were to, if he has a Patreon subscription, I think, or some type of thing with YouTube and stuff like that. If he created a Patreon subscription and had a Patreon subscription, I don't think that's going to case. I agree that there are going to be some people who are going to take advantage of it and try and make it into, I'm going to put something else on here, put something else on here, but I don't think it's going to be widespread, and I don't think that users are going to take advantage, or users are going to fall for that out there.
Social media gotcha system with like Patreon and Discord Nitro subscribers and Twitter communities and stuff. Oh, that's how it turns out, that sounds awful.
Yeah, I just don't see that. I just don't see that happening. And so, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm open to it. I may even subscribe to some content, I don't subscribe to Patreon because I don't want to create a Patreon account, and I've never done it. So I have a Twitter account. Yes. I have a Twitter account, and if I can just click buy in the Twitter app, it's integrated into it. Like, I may do it.
Maybe you've never heard of Patreon and you have this Twitter.
Apple Pay, who knows? Well, I guess they would have to support Apple Pay because, or they have
to the App Store,
or it has to go through in-app purchases. So either way, but if I could load money in there through Apple Pay, and use that, I may do it. There's no idea on it, but we'll see kind of how it all plays out. The one thing that I was thinking of this just when I did this too. So you think about it, it's going to have to be an in-app purchase. So Facebook's going to take, or excuse me, Apple's going to take its 30% cut in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Twitter's going to have to take its cut in it. How much is it going to be?
Man,
that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about how they're going to implement this, where like the content creator is going to get a lot of money. I don't know. They may make it a web exclusive where you have to go to the website to do it, which would be really sucked if you did. But
Twitter owns the Cash App, don't they?
Do they?
Yeah, Twitter Cash App. I'll double check. I'm pretty sure that they do.
But they still can't implement that in the App Store, I don't think.
No, it would. You'd have to like go out and like go to like the twitter.com page, buy the subscription there, and then go back into the Twitter app, and then you have access to it if they didn't want to pay the Apple or the Android.
Yeah, so that's kind of what concerns me, is how they're going to do that. Now, if they could do it via like the App Store, or if they could do it via Apple Pay, that would be interesting to see. But I don't think they could. But it'll be interesting to see how they set that up, where you can subscribe for $4.99. I don't know how that'll work with the App Store.
And one other thing that I wanted to point out, Matt, it was based on something that you said about the fact that this is good for investors, them announcing this and working on it. I feel like if you're a tech company, especially a social media company, and you don't have a subscription service or like a community filtering system for your platform, you're doing something wrong, and your investors will probably be angry at you in the long run, because it seems like every social media platform is making what Twitter is now getting to.
And like they introduced Fleets, which Fleets sucked, and I still don't like it.
What are those copy? I didn't know Fleets were a thing until like recently. I didn't
stories.
Hear about them.
So it's basically Instagram and Snapchat stories. Oh. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's a laid out version of it. But so they have that, and then they integrated audio into it as well, like Clubhouse. So I was talking about Clubhouse a couple weeks ago, and by the way, I got a somebody came after me and gave me an invite to Clubhouse after the podcast, so I got access to Clubhouse, which was kind of cool. But anyways, so you can do basically Clubhouse in there with Fleets, where you can sit there and listen to audio content from your followers on there, and then you can request to join in the same way Clubhouse works. So they've already implemented that into, and I think they're calling it Spaces. They're calling it Twitter Spaces, is what I want to say. So essentially, you can go in there and you can listen to audio content. It's like live video, but with no video itself. It's just audio, which is really cool too. I've actually listened to a couple of people in there in the Twitter app on that, more than I've actually have done on the Clubhouse app yet, because I really haven't messed around with it. So
okay, I'll have to check out Fleets, because I like I said, I just found out what it was, and having an audio only kind of service seems very curious. And
well, I mean, you can still do stories. You can still do stories, but at the audio version is at the top too, and it's not available to everybody right now. If one of your followers goes live and they have the ability to go live, then you can do that. But they haven't done that, and since they are shutting down Periscope, I'm assuming that is going to be more integrated into the Twitter app as well now too, like it already is. I mean, when you go live on Periscope, you go live on Twitter, but they're shutting down the Periscope app. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be eventually a way for you to go live in the Twitter app itself, and broadcast to your followers as well. So I'm sure that's coming very soon too. And then, like I said, they purchased a mail service. So Twitter is growing and Twitter is changing. They haven't changed for a long time. They've been the standalone tweet service for years. But it'll be interesting to see how they change and grow over the years.
And are you guys tired of like the ever-growing list of companies that have subscription services or some form thereof.
Well, like I said, I don't subscribe to much. Like I don't even know if I subscribe to any because I don't really do Patreon, and yeah, so I don't even know. I don't even,
right?
I do. Well, I do, but that's different. Like Apple TV is different. But as far as content, I don't really do much. But yes, I do subscribe to a lot of, HBO, Hulu, Netflix, all those. So, it's a growing list of things. One thing that I did want to talk about though is recently that Apple announced that they were modifying trademarks to indicate that they could possibly be turning in Final Cut Pro into a subscription service app instead of a standalone app. The app right now costs $2.99 to buy, and I will be really mad if they give it away to everybody else for free because I paid $2.99 for it. That's $300. But they have their audio service, which is called. Do you remember what it's called, Tim? Is it Logic or Logic? So they have their professional audio version. They have Final Cut Pro. Those are their big apps, and I feel like that could eventually be turned into a subscription model where you pay $9.99 a month. Adobe did it. Microsoft has done it.
It made sense, in my opinion, when Adobe first did it, because I want to say After Effects cost $3,000 for just After Effects. That was just CS5, I think, because my school could only afford one license and put it on a computer in the school.
Yeah, that's hella expensive.
It was really expensive, and when I, being a teenager, got my first job pushing carts, I wanted to learn After Effects, but I didn't have $3,000 to spend on it. But then suddenly I got an email in my inbox from Adobe saying, we're introducing Creative Cloud, where you can pay, I think it was like $40 a month.
$49.99 or something like that.
Yep. And I was like, $50? You're telling me $50 a month for every single Adobe product ever? So I immediately subscribed to it, and I used it for years, and it was great. Now I can see a lot of businesses that use Adobe products on the daily, and how it was cheaper. It was almost cheaper for them to pay for the CS4, CS5 as they came out, because you don't have to upgrade every single year. And now they're having to pay subscription fees for every single user that they had. I haven't looked too much into the Final Cut, but I'm assuming it's going to probably be the exact same way.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, because Final Cut, I don't know. Apple has recently introduced sharing subscriptions. So if I buy an app in the App Store and I subscribe to it with a subscription. So for example, Tweetbot is a popular Twitter app, third-party Twitter app. And you can download that, and you can actually share. You can subscribe to it for, I think it's like $5.99 a month or $5.99 a year, and I can share that subscription with anybody on my Apple plan. So I assume that would be the same for Final Cut Pro. That if I bought it and I was a subscription, I had a subscription service to it, I could share it with everybody in my household. That's on my Apple family share. So I'm assuming that'll be the way it is. I don't know how it'll work for businesses. They would probably have some type of business model for businesses as well. And there's talk about how they could do it three ways. They could turn it into a subscription service where you have to subscribe to it. I think that's likely not going to happen, because there's a lot of people out there that already bought it and paid the $300. But there's another option too, where you could sell a subscription service, or you could buy it outright for $2.99. And that would be helpful for some people, that don't have $300 to spend on it, but want to do editing and learn how to use it, or at least learn how to use it before they, buy the whole thing for $300 and make sure they're going to use it, make their money out of it.
And there's a lot of people and companies that only need it for a short time working on a single project.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Maybe a 2-month movie or yeah. So you would make any sense to buy it unless you're a professional and use it all the time. Instead, just pay for 2 months or.
Well, and so the other thing too, like Microsoft has done this. Microsoft has introduced it used to be called Office 365. Now it's called Microsoft 365. It gives you all the Office suites application, and it's a low monthly price of like $9.99 a month or $100 for a year. I've subscribed to the yearly one, but a lot of businesses, like you said, Tim, don't want to buy licenses for, every team member and pay a monthly price from it. So instead they want to buy, licenses and not upgrade every year. And so Office has announced that they're releasing a new version of Microsoft Office that will be a standalone, not a 365 version where you can actually subscribe or you can actually buy a license for it. I think you'll get the security updates, but you're not going to get the new features as they come out. So, and that's supposed to come out in late 2021. It'll be called Microsoft Office either 2022 or 2021. I don't know what their naming conventions will be on that, but it is exciting to see that happening, and stuff like that as well. So,
Microsoft Office Plus.
Oh man!
I think they did call it Microsoft Office Plus for a while. I think I have a CD that says Microsoft Office Plus and then they had a professional. Yeah, they had the Plus. They had the Basic, Plus, and Professional.
Oh, you're right. They did.
Oh no!
Yes.
It wasn't actually a joke. It was real.
It wasn't a joke.
Speaking of Plus, on a quick side note, did you see that CBS All Access is switching to Paramount Plus this month?
Plus, yep.
Not another streaming service, please.
March 4th.
Well, I mean, they already exist as a streaming service. They're just rebranding as Paramount Plus from CBS All Access.
No.
But it's
they both were.
Plus.
Paramount had their own app, and now I think they're converting both of them they're converting CBS and Paramount into it, or maybe they were building out.
You get all the old Nickelodeon stuff from like when you were a kid.
No, I don't, because I'd have to pay for it. Like I'd have to pay for my cell phone bill and my Netflix and my internet subscription and some of my Patreons. There's too many subscriptions.
And next your Twitter.
Gosh.
And next your Twitter. So I was talking. So I wanted to share something with you, an idea that I had. I mentioned the ice maker recently.
Oh, that's right.
I bought the ice maker, and I was going to offer. I made a bet with Tim, and offline in the Slack. You weren't here for it, Roy, but I think you were listening. But anyways,
what kind of ice subscription service are you offering right now?
So,
Ice Plus.
$6.99 a month. $6.99 a month. You get 2 bags of ice, of nugget ice. You get 2 bags of nugget ice per week for $6.99 a month. And then for friends, that's for non-friends. $6.99. For friends, they would get the discount of $4.99.
How big are these bags?
Premium membership, and they're like a 10-pound bag. They're like a 10-pound bag.
That's better than you could get from the store.
Exactly. So I brought this idea up to my wife because we got the ice maker that's $600, and it came last week, and it's amazing. Like, it's great. So I was like, we'll just get an extra freezer. We'll start loading the bags into the freezer, and we'll save them. And then when people come to our door wanting ice, we'll give them 2 bags of ice. And she goes, well, then we'll have like people coming to where we live. And I'm like, well, And then so we go down to the lobby and we give the ice to him down there. And I was like, you know how you drive on the freeway, or you getting off the freeway or something, and you see those little signs, those little yard signs that say mattress $199 king size, or whatever, box spring included, something like that. We'll get little signs out there and do it, and we'll just keep growing this, and we'll open up other hubs and license it out to other people for the idea to sell their own ice, and then we'll go on Shark Tank and sell it to them.
I'm half excited for this craft ice subscription service that you've got going on here right now.
Once he moves, he won't be too far away from you. You can easily go get your ice every day.
I can subscribe to this right now.
You can subscribe $4.99 a month.
Ooh,
Tim, how are you going to get your ice from him?
You get 2 bags of nugget ice per week.
That means I gotta drive to Bellevue. I'm so far away from Bellevue.
Maybe he'll meet you halfway.
I don't
Maybe
think
I'll meet you halfway.
You're not gonna want to do that at 3 a.m. when I want ice, Matt.
You'll have a 10-pound bag, Tim. We'll meet up like once a week or something like that.
You can sell ice accessories.
Yeah.
For the people that need to store ice when they get home and they don't want to have it in the freezer, you can buy
a freezer. You can buy an extra ice freezer.
Branded ice
freezer.
And
how much is this subscription going to be?
$4.99.
Well, for you, it would be $4.99. Everybody else listening, it'd be $6.99.
I'm trying to compare this to like other things in that area, like for that price. And for $8.99 a month, you can get the Panera iced coffee subscription, which gets you free iced coffee, like I think, but 3 times a day.
What? Okay, what? Here.
There was a T-Mobile Tuesday about this, so that's the only reason why I know about it.
Yeah, my wife was thinking about it too. I think she tried to sign up for it, and then it wouldn't let her.
I signed up for it, and the one at the Alderwood Mall, they don't serve iced coffee because they don't get enough people for it. So you have to get regular coffee, or you can fight them to get cold brew, which I had to fight the manager several times to get it, and I was like, this is too much work, and I canceled it.
Well, so Tim, there's no fighting me. I'll bring your ice to you once a week, Tim, when I come away.
Fred Meyer will sell you a 10-pound bag of ice for $2.50. So with your 2 bags that you get from Matt in 1 week, you've actually made $1 back, and then that means that you will, over the course of a month, 5, 10, 15, you'll gain $16 worth of ice for free.
That's pretty competitive rates, man.
It's pretty good, but I already have an ice machine. It's just not the cool little pebbles.
But you're think of what Zoe would love your ice.
Yeah, but
is Zoe listening? Is Zoe listening?
I don't know.
Zoe, if you're listening, let us know if you think this is a good idea.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
Matt, have you ever tried to freeze a bag of ice?
Yeah, like it'll be a sealed bag. Yeah, it'll be a sealed bag. You go buy it at the grocery store.
When we got our ice maker, it started making all this ice, and we were like, "Oh, we better start saving this ice because we have so much ice. We need to put it in like bags and save it." We did that, and it all froze together, and it was just one giant block.
But that's because you didn't have the nugget ice. I guarantee
you.
Nugget
ice you to try it.
You had garbage.
Can you try this? Put a bag of nugget ice together in your freezer, and then I want to see what it looks like after like 2 days in your freezer.
Why don't you just subscribe for 1 month and try it out? And I think you could afford the $4.99 for a month.
I'm not gonna go to Bellevue for a big block of ice.
The ice is going to be fresh when he freezes it. You need to see if it'll last the drive, number one, and then freezing it after the drive. So if Matt is so invested in getting you to subscribe to the service, he should give you a 1 month free subscription to see if it pans out.
Wow. Oh, that's the startup dream.
There is no free trials.
But that's how startups get their customers. That's how Uber they give out like $10, Lyft, all those places.
I'm already giving you a $4.99 special.
He's saying the deal is already too good. If you can't notice that, it's your fault.
You should give him 1 week free. 1 week free.
But I found out. See, I went online and I researched how much I could buy bags for. I can buy the bags from Amazon that they have at the store, and we can seal the ice in the bag just like you would in the bag, and I can put it in the freezer and then send it off to you. I could even buy dry ice and then put the dry ice on it to keep it cold.
When are you going to do the drones? When is a drone going to drop off?
Going to deliver your ice?
Yeah.
You could be delivering ice from your giant new apartment tower.
That could be there is a rooftop. We go on the rooftop up there. There's a really nice rooftop. I could get a drone, and then that could be the next part of the business.
Amazon would be so
ice
embarrassed.
Ice delivering service.
T-Mobile just cuts off your internet service. We don't want to be associated with this. That's actually
I am telling
hilarious.
You, this is an idea. This is an idea. I think we should all go on Shark Tanks and invest this idea to them.
I will watch that episode of Shark Tank.
But did you hear? He won't go on the show with me.
I'm looking up.
But I need testimonials. I need testimonials from.
Yeah, you can quote me. I'll just subscribe to the service.
Well, yeah, and then you come on there and you tell them how great it is and how you get your ice. It drops you off by a drone.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know he was serious, but here I am standing at 3 a.m. in my driveway with a full bag of ice.
So I'm looking up this Panera coffee thing that you guys were just talking about because I did not know about this. $8.99 a month, you get unlimited coffee. It's not 3 times a day. They say unlimited on their website.
What? Oh,
yeah. So you can go as many times as you want to get
3
coffee.
Times a day. Probably the fine print somewhere.
I mean, even so, you're paying 30 cents a day for even if you got like 3 cups of coffee from them. That's still hella good. But the icing on the cake is called My Panera Plus.
Also, Burger King has one as well. I gotta find it.
There's a Panera like not even a mile away from where I work. I could stop there. It's on my way to work.
There you go.
He has one for $5.
Burger King? Is it a coffee subscription?
Yeah, it's a hot coffee subscription. $5 a month, and you can get coffee from Burger King.
The Panera one gives you your first 3 months free.
Oh, wait, what?
You should actually try the
Panera first
Panera
3
one.
months free.
They're just trying to get you addicted to the caffeine that they're giving you.
Yeah,
you should actually do it. Since it's on your way to work, Roy, you should totally try it out.
I'm signing up right now.
Signing nice.
I will be getting my coffee tomorrow.
I want to hear about it on
very cool
picture.
Tune in to the before the show next week, and I will tell you all about my Panera Plus.
I'll tell you all about it for like 40
jumping
minutes.
all over. He's got 4 coffee. He has several cups stacked behind him.
Oh my god!
You laugh, but if this actually works out well for me, that is a really good deal. $8.99 a month.
Yeah,
that's way better than getting coffee at Starbucks.
They also
my wife spends like $3 a day for iced coffee.
Ooh.
Also,
I noticed $0 through Apple Pay.
I noticed when I got the coffee subscription, I noticed every single time I went to Panera, it was like, "Oh, you have a free reward. Would you like to use it on a pastry?" And so I always ended up getting like a cinnamon roll or something.
Say what?
Yeah,
they have chocolate chip bagels, okay, and that is where it's at.
That's pretty great.
Alrighty, so if anybody wants to invest in the ice service, hit me up.
Oh no!
If anybody, and then check in before the show for Roy's review of the Panera Plus, right, Roy?
My Panera Plus coffee.
My Panera Plus coffee.
Just
so
rolls
I'll have
off
to come
the
up.
tongue.
I'll have to come up with a cool name for mine and buy some drones, but I think it's a hell of a good idea. There's another thing too. Before this, I tweeted to Taco Time that they should sell their ice, and they never replied to my tweet.
Oh,
but
tragic.
I would have bought their ice, and then I was like, oh, I could just buy a $600 ice maker and get my own nugget ice.
Mm-hmm. And now you're a competitor. Look what they did. Good job.
Yeah.
Taco
I'm gonna
Time.
sell my own ice and
You're
take
gonna
Taco
undercut.
Time out of business.
Also, I forgot to mention on the Panera Bread, on the My Panera Plus coffee, you can choose between hot coffee and tea.
Hmm.
And so if you don't want coffee, you can go with other beverages. I don't know about the ice though. I'm sure you can ask them for an empty cup of ice.
Is it nugget ice though?
No, but you could use a hammer and just
hammer
Guys,
each piece into a small.
I'm setting my coffee pickup tomorrow for 6:40 a.m. at curbside pickup. They will
Ooh.
bring it
my
out to me.
gosh.
And it's
Ooh.
I'm getting the Madagascar vanilla cold brew coffee. That is included in
Ooh.
here.
Is it included?
This is just getting better.
Which
The
one are you
amount
going to? Wait, which location is
of
this?
It's the one
labor.
on Ballinger Way in Edmonds.
Oh, okay. That like weird corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are paying so much for you to get that coffee. They have to like pay someone to make it and pay someone to walk outside to hand you this free coffee at like 6 a.m. That's incredible.
That you're paying 30 cents for.
He gets 3 months free.
Oh yeah, well the free. Yeah, you're right. Then the 3 months free. Well,
That's-
you'll have to let us know. You'll
Yeah.
have to let us know. All right.
Okay.
Anything else on subscriptions? I think we're about there.
There is a plain subscription service. Just want to let you guys know that.
Oh, what? Oh, an
Yeah.
airplane?
Airplane subscription
Oh.
service.
Is this the
How
private
much
jet
is-
one?
Yeah,
How
private
much
jet
is
one.
how much is the private jet?
$2,000 a month for like unlimited flights, I think, on their growing list. Very small, but growing list of flights in, I think, just the UK and like Los Angeles or something like that.
Jetly?
But it's only been around for like
Wow.
3 years.
Is
Wow.
it Jetly? Is that what it's called?
I don't know if
Um,
it's Jetly. I'll have to double check.
I will tell you a membership that I absolutely love, and that's my AMC A list.
Oh,
Do any
so
of you
good.
guys? Oh my God, do you have one, Matt?
It's so good. Yes, I do.
3 movies per week. Plus you earn rewards of each month that you can use for concessions.
Yep.
So, I always have free rewards. And like I even resubscribed after the movie theaters opened again right away because I want to support the movies. And
Mhm.
this is honestly been a game changer for people who want to go see the movies every week, because even if it sucks, like if you see 2 good movies in 1 month, then you will get you'll get everything. And they used to have a separate line for A-list subscribers where you could get ahead of the line for concessions.
Yeah.
Since the pandemic, at least my theater, they haven't done that at. They cut it off, and now they just have one big line. But it is amazing. AMC A-List, you can see up to 3 movies per week. Yeah. And it's
Basically
like I
12
think
movies a month.
mine's like $20 a month or something like that.
Yeah, it's either 20 or 21.99, something like that. I can't remember if they-
$21.99, I think it is. I think it's
Yeah.
$21.99. But and it works at any theaters too.
Any
you can go
AMC
see the
theater.
IMAX. You can see the IMAX, the 3D IMAX. Some of those tickets run you $20 just for the single ticket when you go see like an IMAX or a 3D movie. So it is definitely worth it if you haven't.
And it works on the Dolby Cinema Experience ones too.
Any of the AMC theater movies. So
Whether it's just a standard theater, one that you can eat at, or like a Dolby or an IMAX, and you use the app to buy your tickets or basically just
And reserve
register
your
for
seats.
whatever seats.
Yep.
And you
Nice.
could do that a couple days or like a week in advance or something like that. And then the day that your movie is playing, you just walk in, they scan your app because you have a little like barcode on it. You walk right in, sit down, watch your movie. It's so
I'm
painless.
so excited to move to Bellevue because I do really like the AMC over there. Not that I don't like the one over in Kitsap. It's a recliner seats too, but they have the recliner seats over in the AMC one, so it's really nice.
Really quickly, here's the private jet one.
Oh, interesting.
Wow. $9.97 a month.
Oh, this is
That's
even a different one
$1,000.
than the one that I saw.
That's
Kinda
$1,000 a
different.
month.
You get Uber.
Wait, what do you get with the 0 a month?
Unlimited flight requests, phone, email, chat support. You can talk to someone.
Well, I guess we'll talk to you.
But you have to pay for the flight, but you get
Yeah, it's just like
you get-
it's a normal flight.
I kind of want to just subscribe to the $0 a month one and say I'm a subscriber to this private jet service.
What's the point? There's what Skype integration? You have to pay.
Oh, so you could probably Slack integration. We could be sitting there on the Slack.
You get some
have
free swag.
And just like
What?
register for a flight through Slack or Skype or something.
No,
get
I
a
think
woke?
it's so that you can, when you're on the plane, you can have Slack conversations like on a big screen or something like that. Maybe.
That makes sense.
Oh, you
are we
get
going to
free
use this
Uber
to fly
Black,
down
too.
to the Blockbuster?
That's how we do it. We'll all subscribe and get a private jet flight down to that last Blockbuster. This is shaping up to be a pretty premium
So
experience.
if it's a private jet, don't you get? Is it it's just a private jet service, so you still have to ride with other people.
There's a few different services that actually do this, I think. Let's see here. Jet Set is another one.
Oh, Las Vegas! I'd go to Las Vegas every month if I had a.
Why are there
every
so many
weekend.
plane subscription services?
Look at
I
that.
don't know, but we should really be
Didn't
looking
know
into
there were
this.
this many.
I'm really actually going to look into this afterwards because this looks like a hella cool
A
idea.
membership fee. Only. Oh, wait, what?
Maybe I can do a trade agreement for free ice for their
Oh my god.
their plane.
You'll
I'll bring
supply
the
their
ice.
planes. Yeah.
I'll bring the ice and for their plane.
I mean, they might even offer you this service for free if you become a business partner with them. You supply the ice that they buy, and then they're like, "We'll just give you."
Yeah.
Is the aircraft's
Yeah.
available?
What's? Oh, they're all smaller aircrafts. Nothing. Huh. Interesting. I'm gonna look into this afterwards. Let's see.
Learn something every day. Well, in that case, I think that's a good place to call it a wrap for tonight. So much about subscription services. Thank you all for joining us live on this episode of the Gooplycast. And to all those listening on the go, you'll be able to find our replays on YouTube and the podcast version of our episodes on all your favorite podcasting apps, including iHeartRadio. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook for updates on the podcast and to be notified of our video reviews. I've been your host, Matt Carter. For Matt, Roy, and Tim, thank you for watching and listening. We'll catch you next time on the Gooplycast.